Exclusive contract from Feilu Novel Network Novel. Film and television. I am a pure-hearted character, can I have bad intentions? My stepmother is Mrs. Silly White Sweet Wang, my nanny is the unmarried Ruan Zhenzhen, my wife Gu Jia lives downstairs, my good friend's mother is named Song Qian, I have a godsister named Jiang Lai, and I happened to meet the runaway bride Gu Qiao as soon as he entered this world of film and television. Cao Ze was brutally defeated by Bao Ying, and everyone was numb. I thought a beautiful life was about to begin, but by a series of coincidences. Gu Jia threw himself in the arms, Ruan Zhenzhen tilted his head, Song Qian abused him after drinking, caught a turtle in his wife's jar, Jiang Lai pursued him with victory, Wang Manni took advantage of the danger, and Gu Qiao braved the difficulties. Although these days may be frustrating, the advantage lies in their fun. Who knew his friend had discovered his secret? Friends such as Qiao Yingzi, Lin Miaomiao, Jianjian, Xia Linxi, Zhou Linlin, etc. Cao Ze, I didn't expect that you were actually a Qiao thief. Cao Ze. I said it was all a coincidence, can you believe it? I am truly a pure character. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Sister Gan is not a good person and suffers a disastrous start from Bao Ying. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Mo Du, Lai Heng Xiang Hotel. Presidential Suite, in the bedroom. Jiang Lai, who had just woken up, realized that there was no one around him. Lift your eyes and look towards the transparent glass bathroom. A big boy with an explosive figure and a handsome appearance. Lying quietly in the bathtub. Recalling everything that happened last night, Jiang Lai felt a headache. The handsome boy in the bathtub, named Cao Ze, is her godbrother. Cao Ze, who is 18 years old this year, is 10 years younger than Jiang Lai. They have no blood relationship between them. It's entirely because during childhood, the two families were door-to-door neighbors. Jiang Lai thought Cao Ze was very cute, so he recognized him as his godbrother. Who knew last night that Jiang Lai turned adjectives into verbs? The reason for all of this, besides alcohol. It has a lot to do with Jiang Lai's mood. She just learned from her brother Jiang Haokuan's mobile video. My ex-boyfriend is not only a love scammer, but also smokes white powder like hallucinogenic substances. Under the huge psychological gap, Jiang Lai immediately remembered what Cao Ze had said. Jiang Lai, when I grow up, I will definitely marry you as my wife. So there is still a certain reason why Cao Ze suffered from Bao Ying. But Jiang Lai is very conflicted now and doesn't know how to face Cao Ze in the future. My own godsister is also capable enough, taking care of my godbrother quite well. No, it's all taken care of in the presidential suite of our own hotel. Putting aside his chaotic thoughts, Jiang Lai looked at the clothes on the ground. The torn Valentino and the breathable lace bow are out of hope. The OL professional suit, buttons and zippers are all damaged and cannot be worn anymore. Helpless Jiang Lai. I could only turn my gaze to the handsome figure in the bathroom. In an extremely luxurious bathroom. Cao Ze lay powerless in the big bathtub, holding back tears and feeling sad. As a man, he will never shed a single tear. But the sadness in my heart cannot be shaken away. After all, last night. That was Cao Ze's first time as a person in 2 generations. Yes. Cao Ze is a traveler who just arrived last night. In his past life, he met a little girl selling matches. Because Cao Ze didn't buy her matches. After a dazzling white light, Cao Ze appeared in this world. The name, appearance and body of the predecessor are identical to Cao Ze. But there are 2 differences. The first is character design. In his past life, Cao Ze was 18 years old and a top scholar. He had just received the admission letter from Blue and White University and was about to experience college students. He lived well, but to his surprise, he was transported because he didn't sell matches. Currently, Cao Ze is 18 years old and a second-generation wealthy student. He has just finished his sophomore year and is currently on summer vacation. A few days ago, he received an adult gift from his father, a domineering Rolls-Royce Cullinan. The second difference is my background. Cao Ze was an orphan in his past life, and to be honest, he was quite eager for family affection. So last night when I just crossed over and faced my godsister Jiang Lai. In Cao Ze's heart, there were still some small joys. I finally have a sister, although she is not my own. But it's much better than the feeling of loneliness before. Who knows after a sumptuous welcome banquet. This older sister didn't follow the routine and got drunk. Cao Ze had to support her and come to the suite that Jiang Lai had prepared for him. I just placed Jiang Lai on the bed and was about to cover her with a blanket. This stubborn and rebellious older sister actually covered him up. At that time, Cao Ze was caught off guard. "Ozawa, can you do me a favor?" Just when Cao Ze was very speechless in his heart, Jiang Lai leaned against the glass door of the bathroom. "What?" Under the conditioned reflex, Cao Ze turned his head. But suddenly his eyes widened. Because Jiang Lai, who appeared in front of him, was only surrounded by a towel. Show her fair-skinned, beautiful, and long-legged figure to the fullest. She, who is already beautiful and sexy, is now even more charming. On her delicate face, she lightly bit her lips with a hint of hope on her face. "I can't even wear clothes anymore. Can you help me buy a set?" Looking at Cao Ze's sunny and handsome face, Jiang Lai pleaded. "Not going." Cao Ze turned his head and said stubbornly, "Childish. This goddaughter is not a good person. To be honest, I want to run errands on my own even after eating and wiping myself clean. What good thing do you think?" "I knew you wouldn't agree." Jiang Lai, with such an expression as expected, approached Cao Ze. "Anyway, it's already like this, and I also need his help now." So Jiang Lai's heart turned sideways, revealing an elusive smile. "What are you doing?" Seeing Jiang Lai looking at him, there was an inexplicable smile on his face. Cao Ze quickly grabbed the jack and spoke cautiously. He was really scared by the bold Jiang Lai. "What else can I do, he?" Jiang Lai didn't make any unnecessary moves, he just untied the towel. Then, in Cao Ze's shocked eyes, Jiang Lai sat in the bathtub. Cao Ze feels like he's not doing well anymore. This goddaughter is really going too far and doesn't even intend to seek her opinion. However, this is indeed in line with Jiang Lai's character traits. A domineering and unrestrained diamond-level white beauty. At this moment, Cao Ze's anger also rose from his heart. P.S. In order for readers to quickly recall the characters in movies and TV dramas, the following image is attached. Jiang Lai. Character image. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 2. She and her godsister should be different, right? You are listening at Novel Full.audio. At the entrance of the Lai Hengxiang Hotel. Cao Ze, who had just walked out of here, couldn't help but think of Jiang Lai. The top-notch milk tea she invited herself to taste just now is indeed fragrant. All the way to the parking lot. Looking at the domineering Rolls-Royce Cullinan in front of me. My inner strength is as strong as Cao Ze's, and I can't help but feel a ripple in my heart. After all, this is a top-tier SUV with a landing price of nearly 8 million yuan. However, that's all. As a traveler, Cao Ze believes that his future achievements are not limited to this. By the way, the system's reward has not been claimed yet. After getting into the luxury car, Cao Ze finally remembered. When he traveled over, he also bound a system. But after suffering from Bao Ying last night, everyone else was numb. In a moment, I also forgot about this matter. System, claim the activation gift package you received yesterday. Cao Ze silently recited a sentence in his heart. A mechanical sound echoed in his mind in an instant. Ding, congratulations to the host. Successfully received the big gift package. Gift Pack 1. 1 Yellow Emperor Inner Classic Fusion Skill. Gift Pack 2. 1 set of 1301 Real Estate in Junhua Mansion. Gift Pack 3. Perfect Life starts up with 100 million funds. Huangdi Neijing, what is this? Cao Ze understood the other 2 rewards as soon as he heard them. Only this Yellow Emperor's inner canon, he doesn't quite understand. Returning to the host, the Yellow Emperor's inner canon is a miraculous technique that focuses on pulse, meridians, diseases, diagnosis, and health preservation. After the host integrates this skill, they will naturally know the mysteries behind it. It sounds like medical skills, but what's so mysterious about it? Cao Ze muttered while choosing to merge this skill. Ding, congratulations to the host. The Yellow Emperor's inner canon skills have been successfully integrated. When the system prompts sound, Cao Ze felt the mysterious skill in his mind. Suddenly, his eyes widened with an incredulous expression. All the veins and acupoints of the human body, as well as various traditional Chinese medicines, complement each other. There are also various methods of treating diseases, such as dietary therapy and health preservation techniques in traditional Chinese medicine. Indeed, it opened Cao Ze's eyes to the vastness and profoundness of traditional Chinese medicine. Especially that health preservation technique, it's simply unbelievable. Reminder to the host, the critical strike reward obtained yesterday has not been claimed yet. After Cao Ze has integrated his skills and mastered them, the system's prompt continued to sound. Critical strike reward. Yes, the host, the critical strike reward is an irregular reward. Including but not limited to real estate, money, equity, real estate, etc. After listening to the system's explanation, Cao Ze directly chose to claim the reward. Ding, congratulations to the host. The critical strike reward has been successfully received. Critical strike reward. 25% equity of DPU International Kindergarten. DPU International Kindergarten. This reward seems a bit flashy but not practical, right? Cao Ze asked in confusion. Ding, return to the host. DPU International Kindergarten is a top-tier chain kindergarten in China, with over 100 branch schools located in major frontline cities. The host can open the system panel at any time for viewing and operation. After listening to the system's answer, Cao Ze roughly understood. Emotions are like a large kindergarten education institution. Subsequently, Cao Ze opened the system panel. Perfect Life System, Host. Cao Ze. Age. 18 years old. Appearance. 98.5 points. Constitution. 4 stars. Physical description. 1.5 for ordinary people, 6.7 for soldiers, 8.9 for military kings, and 10 for limits. Integration skills. Huangdi Neijing. Including pulse, meridians, symptoms, treatment, and health preservation techniques. Current funds. 103.557 million. Fixed assets. 25% equity of DPU International Kindergarten, 1 property of Junhua Mansion 1301, and 1 Rolls-Royce Cullinan. Explanation 1. The way to improve the host's physical fitness is related to health preservation techniques. Explanation 2. The host can receive varying critical strike rewards, with no regularity. Declaration. This system will cooperate with the world on its own, and all gains are reasonable, legal, and compliant. After reading the concise system panel, Cao Ze smiled slightly. A perfect life. Hee, that's a bit interesting. However, what kind of life is worthy of a perfect life? After muttering a question in his heart, Cao Ze immediately smiled slightly. He firmly believes. After crossing over, my life will definitely be a perfect one. Thinking of going to buy clothes for my godsister. Cao Ze drove the black curry south towards the commercial street. After more than half an hour. Top luxury brand Meijing flagship store. Under the guidance of security guards. Kurinam stopped at the entrance of the store. Before Cao Ze could get off the car, all the cabinet ladies in the store gathered around. Being able to drive luxury cars of this level. You don't have to think about it. It's a big client coming. Hello sir, welcome to the Meijing flagship store. At the moment when Cao Ze just got off the car, Wang Manni and several cabinet ladies respectfully smiled and said. At the same time, I couldn't help but feel a bit amazed. The big boy in front of me, aside from Duijin's identity. Not only is his temperament elegant, but his appearance is also extremely handsome. Use the words from the novel to describe it. That is, punching Yen Zhu, kicking Yen Yen, and achieving the pinnacle of beauty in a flash. I want to buy clothes, just you, give me a shopping guide. When several cabinet ladies were competing for orders, Cao Ze designated Wang Manni. Cao Ze had great doubts in his heart. Because Wang Manni's appearance is exactly the same as Jiang Lai's. But Jiang Lai, Cao Ze is familiar with it, there is a mole on his butt. I just don't know if Wang Manni in front of me also has it. Okay sir, this way, please. Wang Manni was also very happy when she heard that Cao Ze had designated her as a shopping guide. Immediately led Cao Ze towards the clothing area on the second floor. On the other side, Jiang Lai, who was knocked unconscious by Cao Ze using a jack in the morning. Until now, I only woke up in a burst of pain. Cao Ze, you stinky little brother, you're really ruthless. Seeing the redness and swelling caused by being scolded, Jiang Lai roared in his heart. P.S. In order for readers to quickly recall the characters in movies and TV dramas, the following picture is attached. Wang Manni. Character picture. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 3. Wang Manni's suggestion, the sexy and sexy queen. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Excuse me, sir, are you a girlfriend or? On the second floor clothing area, Wang Manni respectfully asked Cao Ze. I bought clothes for my godsister, her figure is not much different from yours. Alright, you can help me give it a try so that it doesn't fit properly when I buy it back. Looking at Wang Manni who looks exactly like Jiang Lai, Cao Ze said with a smile. Ah. Okay then. Wang Manni was somewhat surprised. The other party would actually propose the idea of letting themselves try on clothes. But the customer is God. A cabinet lady like Wang Manni would certainly not refuse God. She was extremely excited to try on the new clothes. That professional smile, not to mention how brilliant the smile was. Cao Ze has not studied women's clothing and is not very familiar with it. Fortunately, there was a professional introduction from Wang Manni. Hello sir, we have just received a batch of postpartum dresses in our store. The outfit of this dress can perfectly outline the body shape. To be more precise, it is a slim-fitting skirt that can wrap around the hips and hips. Extremely showcasing the charm of the body, the overall lines flow smoothly and delicately. After Wang Manni's introduction, Cao Ze chose a khaki-colored stepmother dress. Not long after, Wang Manni, dressed in her stepmother's long dress, couldn't help but make Cao Ze's eyes light up. The slit of this long skirt is just right. It can showcase a pair of beautiful long legs without easily disappearing. It can be said that the combination of sexiness and elegance is perfectly balanced. Wang Manni, wearing this long dress, looked at herself in the mirror. Only then did I know what Buddha relies on his golden attire, and people rely on their clothing. Seems to be the overall temperament of oneself. Under the backdrop of this long dress, everything has been greatly elevated. Unfortunately, with her wealth, she is reluctant to spend at this price. As for the typical brand of postpartum skirts, Wang Manni, who has eyes above her head, really doesn't look up to her. Just this set. By the way, help me choose a few sets of the latest clothes as well. Anyway, since everyone has come, of course Cao Ze will not treat himself unfairly. Sir, men's clothing, please. Upon hearing Cao Zeho's refreshing words, Wang Manni smiled and said. As for the new model, the price is naturally quite expensive. So the commission price is extremely pleasing, no wonder Wang Manni looks delighted. Not long after, Cao Ze bought a set of stepmother dresses and several sets of his own clothes. Sir, please follow me and we will issue the order for you. Wang Manni, who helped him carry the bag, respectfully said. At this moment, Cao Ze's phone suddenly rang. He took out his phone and saw that the screen displayed Aunt Meijing. According to memory, Cao Ze instantly remembered. The father's surname was Wang, but he was introduced to his mother's house. So Cao Ze was born with his mother's surname, Qiao. My mother passed away 3 years ago, and my father found him a stepmother. This stepmother's name is Lu Meijing. That is Mrs. Wang in the TV drama, 30 Years Only. I thought she could spread the branches and leaves for the old Wang family. Who would have thought that Mrs. Wang couldn't have children? But since he is already married, old Wang is not willing to divorce and share her family property. In addition, Lao Wang is now elderly and resides in the headquarters of the imperial capital. That's why Mrs. Wang has always been single in TV dramas. Aunt Meijing. Cao Ze quickly withdrew his thoughts and answered the phone. Ozawa, I heard Lai Lai say, have you come to the magic city? Zhao Meijing over there is clearly very excited. After all, only those who have experienced the hardships in their stepmother's heart know. Because since Lu Meijing married into the Wang family, Cao Ze's attitude towards her has always been lukewarm. Lu Meijing wants to continue living a wealthy life and also have future retirement plans. We must all rely on Cao Ze, the legal heir of this family property. So Lu Meijing has been trying to please Cao Ze for so many years. Whether it's asteroid naming or tacky behavior. All in order to have something to talk about with this son. Yes, I just arrived last night. Upon hearing Lu Meijing's question, Cao Ze politely replied. Can you come to Auntie's place? Auntie will take you to eat delicious food and have fun. Lu Meijing's tone over there remained very excited. Because Cao Ze has never called her mother. So Lu Meijing has always regarded herself as an aunt. Okay, then I'll go over later. After Cao Ze finished speaking, he hung up the phone directly. What he doesn't know is. On the other end of the phone, Lu Meijing smiled brilliantly. Being able to establish a good relationship with Cao Ze has always been something she wants to do. But due to Cao Ze's previous studies at the affiliated middle school of Imperial University, they didn't have much time to meet, so their relationship was very ordinary. By the way, could you please give me another set of this postpartum skirt? Although Cao Ze was an orphan in his past life, he still understood the etiquette. Thinking about meeting Lu Meijing, it's not good to go empty-handed. So Cao Ze smiled and said to Wang Manni in front of him. Okay sir, we will arrange it for you immediately. Upon hearing his words, Wang Manni smiled even brighter. After payment is made. Because the flagship store of Mejia provides door-to-door delivery services within the same city. So Cao Ze handed over the dress he bought for Jiang Lai to the staff. Let her deliver directly to the Lai Hengxiang Hotel. Subsequently, Cao Ze drove towards the Junhua mansion near the shopping mall. On the other side. Mr. Jiang, the clothes sent by your godbrother. The lobby manager knocked on the door of the presidential suite and shouted inside. Just leave it at the door, you go out to work first. Inside came the lazy voice of Jiang Lai. After a moment. Jiang Lai, wrapped in a towel, finally took the bag at the door in. Cao Ze, you stinky little brother. What's wrong with just buying a skirt? Don't I have to wear underwear? Seeing that there was only one long skirt in the bag, Jiang Lai roared angrily. P.S. In order for readers to quickly recall the characters in movies and TV dramas, the following picture is attached. Mrs. Wang, Zhao Meijing. Character pictures. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 4. Encountering wife Gu Jia, Aunt Meijing, I come. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Junhua Mansion. The top-tier Jianjian luxury mansion in the Magic City. The lobby is equipped with property management staff, and the service is meticulous with a good attitude. And I will do my homework in advance and familiarize myself with the family situation of each homeowner. A black Rolls-Royce Cullinan slowly stopped at the entrance of the lobby. Hello Mr. Cao Ze, welcome to stay at 1301. The flowers and red wine have been delivered to you upstairs, I hope you will like them. When Cao Ze just got off the car, two property management personnel approached with smiles and respectfully said to him. The supporting facilities and services of top-level luxury homes are vastly different from those of residential communities. Thank you. Cao Ze, who sighed in his heart, smiled politely. Then he handed the keys to the Rolls-Royce Cullinan to the nearby parking attendant. Then he picked up the Mejia clothing bag and walked into the lobby. Ozawa, you're here. A familiar and excited voice came from the elevator. Cao Ze looked up. It's his stepmother Lu Meijing, walking towards him at a fast pace. Auntie Meijing, long time no see. Cao Zigong politely said something, but was immediately embraced by Lu Meijing. You're such a child, you didn't even notify me in advance when you came to the demon. If it weren't for Lai Lai telling me, I wouldn't have known. Lu Meijing was holding a big boy and chattering about this scene. The property management personnel in the lobby were truly shocked and stunned. You know, in their eyes. Mrs. Wang usually has a persona of being tall, cold, and wealthy. I have never seen her before, and a different kind of emotion has emerged. Oh, I remember. Mrs. Wang often says, does she have a son? Is it the handsome guy in front of me? A property manager began to speculate. I don't think so, maybe it's her nephew. After all, the owner's surname Qiao is called Mrs. Wang Auntie. And Mrs. Wang's husband's surname is Wang, not Qiao. Another property staff member muttered softly. A colleague beside me was very curious and picked up the owner's information to carefully read it. Aunt Meijing, please let go of me first. Cao Ze, who was almost breathless from being hugged, quickly spoke up. I'm sorry. I haven't seen you for a long time, Auntie got too excited for a moment. Lu Meijing quickly let go of Cao Ze and calmed down her excited emotions. Fortunately, she has a good relationship with Jiang Lai. Otherwise, if Cao Ze came here, she would still be kept in the dark. Aunt Meijing, this is for you. Cao Ze handed the Mejia clothing bag on his hand to Lu Meijing. This really moved the other person. Because this is the first time she has received a gift from Cao Ze since marrying into the Wang family. Ozawa, thank you. By the way, let's go upstairs first. I asked Wu Mama to make many dishes, there are things you love to eat. Lu Meijing was very natural and took Cao Ze's arm. As he spoke, he walked towards the dedicated elevator on the 21st floor. Not long after they entered the elevator. The public elevator door opened and Gu Jia walked out carrying a delicate cake. Because her son failed the kindergarten interview, she needs to borrow Mrs. Wang's network. Gu Jia is going to establish a good relationship with Mrs. Wang under the guise of giving cakes. As soon as I arrived at the front desk, I heard two property personnel talking with their heads down. Xiao Song, I just carefully reviewed the owner's information. Discovered that the father of 1301 owner Cao Ze and Mrs. Wang's husband Mr. Wang are the same person. After listening to my colleague's words, the person named Xiao Song finally understood. So, Mrs. Wang, who lives on the top floor, is actually the stepmother of the 1301 homeowner. That's right, the 1301 owner was born to Mr. Wang's ex-wife and has a son with his mother's surname. Just as the two were chatting gossip, Gu Jia's eyes rolled and secretly recorded this message. Xiao Song, I need to go to the top floor. Could you please help me swipe my card? After a light cough as a reminder, Gu Jia smiled and said to a property manager. Sister Jia, are you going to Mrs. Wang's house? Wait a moment, I need to make a phone call to confirm. After the property personnel named Xiao Song finished speaking, they picked up the matching dedicated phone. When the owner heard him and his colleagues gossiping, both of them felt a bit embarrassed. Hello, this is the front desk. We have visitors you have arranged for. Okay, sorry to bother you. After confirming on the phone, Xiao Song looked up and said to Gu Jia. Okay, Sister Jia, I'll help you swipe your card. This way, please. After a moment, Gu Jia is standing in the dedicated elevator to the 21st floor. I couldn't help but show a look of envy on my face. The higher the floor of the Junhua mansion, the more expensive the housing price will be. But no matter how expensive it is, it still cannot be compared to the top 2101. They own a dedicated elevator and have demolished all the luxury houses downstairs on the 21st floor. How can Gu Jia not envy this top-notch sense of superiority? The elevator quickly arrived at the 21st floor. Except for Gu Jia from the elevator, he arrived in the corridor. The design of Morandi blue with metallic lines is highly ceremonial. The door frame and corridor outside the entrance are made of Dali stone, using a consistent color scheme. Gu Jia, who came here, only then understood what a sense of nobility is. After calming down her restless mood, Gu Jia rang the doorbell for 2101. P.S. In order for readers to quickly recall the characters in movies and TV dramas, the following image is attached. Gu Jia. Character image. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 5. First meeting Gu Jia, Undead Ruan Zhenzhen. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. P.S. Lu Meijing, also known as Mrs. Wang. For the smooth reading of all 180 experts, she will be referred to as Mrs. Wang in the future, but the male lead still calls her Aunt Meijing. This is to clarify Junhua Mansion, 2101. This luxurious mansion worth 150 million yuan is a dowry from Old Wang to Mrs. Wang. In recent years, Old Wang rarely returns to the demon capital, so Mrs. Wang often stays here. Because only here can Mrs. Wang feel the feeling of having a home. Ozawa, I haven't seen you for half a year. It seems like you've grown a lot taller. Moreover, he is becoming more and more handsome now, and he must be very popular in school. Mrs. Wang, who took Cao Ze upstairs, spoke with concern all the way. To be honest, Cao Ze, who was an orphan in his previous life, still feels a bit uncomfortable. Just a faint smile, occasionally echoing the previous sentence. Wu Ma, have the dishes been prepared yet? Just led Cao Ze into the door. Mrs. Wang shouted to the kitchen with a smile on her face. Madam, Buddha jumps over the wall for a while. In the kitchen, there came a response from Mrs. Wu. That is at this moment. The phone in the room rang, and it was the front desk downstairs who called to inquire. At this moment, Mrs. Wang, who was in a good mood, agreed without hesitation. Subsequently, Ozawa, let's go upstairs and Auntie will show you something good. Thinking it was still early to eat, Mrs. Wang spoke to Cao Ze. Seeing her excited expression, Cao Ze immediately became interested. The two of them climbed the corner staircase and walked all the way to the second floor. On a spacious balcony, there is a professional astronomical telescope placed. Mrs. Wang just bought it a while ago in order to have a common topic with Cao Ze. Ozawa, do you like it? Mrs. Wang asked Cao Ze with a smile, as if offering a treasure. Well, it's okay, isn't it? But now is daytime, not the best time to observe the starry sky. Although he has never played with an astronomical telescope, Cao Ze still knows about it. Seeing his average interest, I couldn't help feeling a bit disappointed in trying to please his wife Wang. Ozawa, I also ordered a painting and it should arrive home today. It's Van Gogh's Water Lilies, I believe you will definitely like it. Mrs. Wang followed Cao Ze to the sofa area on the balcony and sat down. With a joyful expression on his face, he said to Cao Ze. Upon hearing her words, Cao Ze was immediately dumbfounded. He also remembered the character of Mrs. Wang in front of him in the original TV drama. A very wealthy silly white sweet broad too. Silly, it's because Mrs. Wang doesn't even know some common sense knowledge. There is a feeling of innocence and unfamiliarity with worldly affairs. It's because although Mrs. Wang is almost 40 years old, she maintains herself very well. She is fair-skinned and beautiful, but her appearance is inferior to her peers. Sweet, because Mrs. Wang has a gentle personality and no ulterior motives. She smiled, with a heartwarming smile like the ant next door. Aunt Meijing, Water Lilies is by Monet, and Van Gogh's most famous is Sunflowers. Seeing Mrs. Wang's simple and pleasing smile, Cao Ze spoke up and reminded her. Ah! Upon hearing his words, Mrs. Wang immediately looked embarrassed. It's okay, they're all too famous. Auntie, it's normal for you to be confused. Cao Ze smiled and said something. The heart that kept Mrs. Wang hanging has finally landed. It's not easy to be a stepmother, and she doesn't want Cao Ze to underestimate herself. By the way, Ozawa, do you remember that I told you last time? Do you want to use your name to name an asteroid? Mrs. Wang continued speaking. Seeing her continuing to please him, Cao Ze felt speechless in his heart. The stepmother in front of me is truly humble to the bone. Think about it too. Mrs. Wang cannot bear children and can only rely on her own retirement in the future. However, for Cao Ze, who was an orphan in his previous life, let him always have a sense of being a major villain. I'm not very used to it. Aunt Meijing, this matter is actually quite difficult. Why don't we just forget it? I was just joking around at the time. Cao Ze was not very interested in this, so he smiled and advised. But he doesn't know Mrs. Wang well enough, she's just one-track minded. Since she has promised Cao Ze, she will definitely do it. Ozawa, you're coming over this time. I have decided to give Cao Ze another surprise in the future. Mrs. Wang took the initiative to shift the topic. Downstairs, the doorbell rang. Upon hearing the sound, Wu Mama ran over and opened the door. Hello, may I ask who you are? Seeing it as a stranger, Wu Mama cautiously asked. Hello, I live downstairs. My name is Gu Jia. I have an appointment with Mrs. Wang. I just called. Gu Jia, holding the cake, smiled and said. Okay, then you can change your shoes first. Wu Mama pointed to the entrance and said to Gu Jia. Thank you. After changing into slippers, Gu Jia walked towards the house. Is this top-level room type a duplex? Come to the spacious living room with a height of 12.5 meters. Gu Jia was shocked beyond measure. This luxurious feeling was the first time she had seen it. Yes, there are 3 levels up and down. After Wu Mama politely said a word, she immediately looked up towards the upstairs. Madam, your guests have arrived. After Wu Mama finishes speaking. You let her come up. Upstairs, there came Mrs. Wang's voice. This way, please. After Wu Ma took Gu Jia to the corner staircase, she immediately returned to the kitchen. Gu Jia holding the cake. I finally put away my chaotic thoughts and walked upstairs. On the other side. Next to a red Mazda. Standing on the side, Ruan Zhenzhen looked desperate. She was originally a simple housewife. But her husband passed away in an accidental car accident, leaving behind a debt of 40 million yuan. After a period of investigation, Ruan Zhenzhen finally discovered. The family warmth created by the husband is just a facade. The watch given to her is A. grade, but the watch given to her lover is actually genuine. Being close to one's own lawyer, Gao Jun, also carries a strong sense of purpose. At this moment, Ruan Zhenzhen. Even if it costs 1,000 yuan to change a tire, it can't be taken out. At the same time as despair, she suddenly thought of finding a job. P.S. Starting today, the stable day will be over 10,000 words long, begging the big shots to reward billions of data points. P.S. In order for readers to quickly recall the characters in movies and TV dramas, the following image is attached. Ruan Zhenzhen. Character image. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 6. Jiang Lai's anger and Gu Jia's thoughts. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Mrs. Wang's house, balcony sofa area. Are you introduced by the property management? When Gu Jia approached, Mrs. Wang asked in confusion. The woman in front of me is wearing a white shirt paired with a pair of jeans. She had long hair draped around her, exuding a mature woman's intellectual charm. Having a tall figure and beautiful appearance. A simple outfit, but with a distinct sense of competence. Mrs. Wang feels very comfortable looking. Yes, I brought you some dessert, I made it myself. Low fat and low sugar, you can try it. Gu Jia placed the cake on the nearby coffee table. After opening the packaging, I started directly with my hands. Gu Jia was also very surprised by the Mrs. Wang in front of her. Because she inquired about Mrs. Wang's age, which is almost 40 years old. Kequotai is Kequotai, which is well maintained. This looks like at most 30.5 or 6. I have to say, money is really a good thing. Wang Tai, please taste it. Gu Jia, who is seeking help from others, has a particularly low posture. Hand the cut cake respectfully to Mrs. Wang. Subsequently, another portion was divided and placed in front of Cao Ze. Who is this? Gu Jia, who was clear about Cao Ze's identity, pretended not to know and asked. Just call me Cao Ze. Cao Ze, who took the cake with a smile, politely said. Well, the cake is good. Compared to what is produced by a professional master, it's not inferior at all. Mrs. Wang, who took a bite of the cake, looked admiring. After tasting it, Cao Ze couldn't help but smile. Gu Jiagua really deserves her name and can do everything to the best of her ability. Your son, you want to go to depot across the street, right? Mrs. Wang is also aware of Gu Jia's intentions. She gestured for Gu Jia to sit down and asked. Yes. Gu Jia didn't hesitate and sat down next to Cao Ze. Just facing Mrs. Wang, it's convenient for the two to communicate. A charming fragrance came, and Cao Ze felt a bit uncomfortable. After all, he is a spirited young man who easily gets angry. Just as the phone rang, Cao Ze immediately got up and answered the phone. Are you new here? Which floor do you live on? Mrs. Wang spoke up and asked. Yes, I just moved here not long ago. I live downstairs at 1201. Gu Jia smiled and answered. That's low. Level, what does your family do? Mrs. Wang asked curiously. I am a full-time wife, and my husband runs a fireworks company. Gu Jia and Mrs. Wang began to have a conversation. Cao Ze, who arrived at the glass fence on the balcony, smiled bitterly when he saw the caller's name. The contact person is Sister Gan's name. It seems that it still needs to be changed. Hello. Cao Ze just pressed the answer button before saying a word. He immediately took away his phone. Because in the receiver, Jiang Lai's roar could be heard. Cao Ze, are you lacking in heart and eye? Why don't you buy me underwear? Are you short of money? Ah. Do you know the feeling of emptiness? After the other party finishes questioning. The call time has already passed for 2 minutes. It's enough to see how angry Jiang Lai is on the other side. Mute. Speak up. Jiang Lai's voice over there was panting heavily. It seems that I'm mostly saying I'm tired. Sister Jiang Lai, I said I forgot. Can you forgive me? Cao Ze chuckled and asked. He did it on purpose, who let the other party bully him first. Cannot. Where are you now? Jiang Lai's resolute voice came and raised another question. I'm here with Aunt Wenjing. Before Cao Ze could finish speaking, Jiang Lai over there hung up the phone. This gave him a bad feeling in his heart. According to this person's hot temper. She shouldn't have come over to cut me with a 40-meter big knife, right? Cao Ze, who put down his phone, thought with lingering fear. After all, Jiang Lai, a diamond-level white rich and beautiful person, is not someone who can play cards according to common sense. Madam, the food is ready. Just then, the voice of Nanny Wu's mother came from downstairs. Gu Jia, let's have a meal together and chat while we eat. Mrs. Wang, who had a good conversation with Gu Jia, smiled and said. That will cause you trouble. Seeing her sincere expression, Gu Jia responded with a smile. Cao Ze after washing his hands. Sitting at the dining table with Mrs. Wang and Gu Jia. Gu Jia, feel free. Don't be polite. After Mrs. Wang greeted her, Gu Jia smiled and nodded. Ozawa, this is your favorite spicy chicken and stewed beef brisket. By the way, this Buddha jumping over the wall is nutritious. You must. During the meal, Mrs. Wang kept serving dishes to Cao Ze. Although knowing that the person in front of me has a purpose, it is to please myself. But Cao Ze still felt very heartwarming and started eating with Mrs. Wang, chatting and laughing. Seeing Mrs. Wang's act of pleasing Cao Ze, Gu Jia suddenly understood in her heart. If Mrs. Wang doesn't agree to help, taking care of Cao Ze can also achieve her goal. By the way, Ozawa, this time you're in Mordo, don't stay in a hotel. You stay with Auntie for as long as you want, this is your home. Mrs. Wang smiled and said. Auntie Meijing, no need. I have a suite downstairs at 1301. Cao Ze refused without even thinking about it. After all, living with my stepmother always feels strange. P.S. Please don't say that I'm not good anymore, I just stayed up all night and just got up. The energetic author, with a daily update volume of 10,000 words, is as proficient as his ancestral craftsmanship. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 7. Mrs. Wang wants to find a nanny for Cao Ze, angry. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Upon hearing Cao Ze's words, Mrs. Wang inadvertently frowned. She was completely unaware of the fact that Cao Ze had a house here. But after a moment, she found a suitable reason. Perhaps it is the inheritance left by Cao Ze's mother. Ozawa, will you be here all summer? After understanding, Mrs. Wang smiled and asked. Auntie, I plan to study in the Magic City instead of going back to the Imperial City. Cao Ze's sudden words made Mrs. Wang dumbfounded in an instant. Because Imperial University affiliated middle school. But Lao Wang paid a great price to let Cao Ze enter there to study. Gu Jia on the side also looked surprised. Because when we were chatting just now, Mrs. Wang just showed off to her. The affiliated middle school of Imperial University is such a difficult key high school to enter. Ozawa, have you discussed this matter with your father? Regarding Cao Ze's decision. The humble Mrs. Wang dared not even express her opinions. I could only smile and ask this question. I'm already 18 years old this year, I can make my own decisions. Cao Ze did not directly answer her words, but his tone was extremely firm. Students from the affiliated middle school of Imperial University. Some are struggling every day, some are too caught up in their studies, and some are preparing for going abroad. Cao Ze, who was already able to pass the blue and white entrance examination, certainly wouldn't study in his third year of high school there. Because there are many people he knows on this side of the demon capital. For example, since childhood, we have played with friends such as Qiao Yingzi, Lin Miaomiao, Li Jianjian, Xia Linxi, and Zhou Linlin. Because when Cao Ze was young, they moved very frequently. This led to Cao Ze having many childhood sweethearts. Ozawa, do you have a favorite school on your end? Tell Auntie, I will handle the transfer procedures when the time comes. Since she couldn't object, Mrs. Wang chose to help. Chunfeng Middle School is quite good, so please trouble Aunt Meijing. Cao Ze is also willing to accept Mrs. Wang's kindness. Coincidentally, he can free up time. Think about the perfect life startup fund that the system rewards, how to spend 1 billion yuan. Since we have traveled through time, we must achieve some results. Ozawa, why are you being polite to Auntie? Upon hearing Cao Ze's words, Mrs. Wang's face lit up with joy. Because Cao Ze accepted her kindness. That means their relationship can go further. By the way, since you're here alone, how can you live without anyone to take care of you? Alright, Auntie will find a nanny for you to take care of your daily life. Before Cao Ze could refuse, Mrs. Wang called Mrs. Wu over. After giving some instructions, Wu Mama confidently promised to find a nanny to come back today. Not long after. 3 people had just finished their meal when a knock came from the door. Nanny Wu ran over to open the door. Madam, it was you who ordered the painting. After turning her head and saying something, a few staff members carried a huge painting and walked into the living room. Slow down, slow down. Mrs. Wang quickly stood up and greeted. At this moment, Gu Jia's phone rang and Cao Ze accidentally heard a sentence. It was Zhong Shaoqin calling, talking about her suspected pregnancy. Gu Jia quickly comforted and then hung up the phone. Wait for the staff to hang the painting on the wall opposite the dining table. At the moment when the red cloth on the packaging is peeled off. Gu Jia was already dumbfounded at the time. Because she had seen this painting before while watching an art exhibition in Paris. How about the new one I bought? Do you know how to draw? Seeing Gu Jia's shocked expression on his face, Wang Taiji asked with satisfaction. Is this an authentic work? Gu Jia was shocked beyond measure, so she trembled and asked. Nonsense, hanging fake products will lead to more discounts, genuine products. Van Monet's water lilies. Just about to blurt out Van Gogh's water lilies, fortunately Mrs. Wang reacted in time. After all, when she was on the balcony just now, Cao Ze corrected her. What kind of flowers are you saying at home to be considered tasteful? Hee hee, my flower, it never withers. Looking at the lotus in the painting, Wang Taiji said happily. The reason why she is so happy. The first reason is that I can help Cao Ze handle the enrollment procedures, which can improve the relationship. The second reason is that if it weren't for Cao Ze's correction, she would be making a fool of herself at this moment. Mrs. Wang, your taste is really high. Gu Jia, who thought this painting was genuine, gave a thumbs up. With a look of envy on his face, he spoke up. At that moment, Mrs. Wang's phone rang. After she finished answering, curiously glanced at Cao Ze and didn't say much. The phone was from Jiang Lai, asking her to communicate with the property management to swipe her card and take the elevator. And Jiang Lai also asked Mrs. Wang not to tell Cao Ze that she was here. After a moment, a knock came from the door, and Wu Mama quickly ran over to open it. Mrs. Wang, I'll trouble you with my matter. Gu Jia felt like she had been here for a long time and it was time to leave. Well, I'll keep it to myself. Mrs. Wang, who was extremely happy, waved to Gu Jia. Ozawa, how is this painting? Mrs. Wang sat down next to Cao Ze and asked with a smile. Cao Ze, who has watched TV dramas, naturally knows that what is in front of him is a fake painting. But he doesn't intend to expose it. Very. Before Cao Ze could utter the word, good, an angry voice came. Cao Ze. Upon hearing the sound, Cao Ze turned his head and saw Jiang Lai walking towards him angrily. She was wearing the khaki-colored stepmother dress that Cao Ze had bought for her. But seeing her at this moment, Cao Ze has reason to believe. She definitely put on a long dress and rushed straight here. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 8. This sister doesn't look like a good person, Ruan Zhenzhen should. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wow, Jiang Lai, you look really nice in this dress. Jiang Lai serves as a walking hanger, paired with this set of stepmother dresses. It can be said that he tightly grasped the style of sexiness and pure desire. But what Cao Ze appreciated. It cannot affect Jiang Lai's angry mood at this moment. She was seen holding up her small fist and attacking Cao Ze. The person hasn't arrived yet, but the fragrance on her body arrived first. Cao Zidu didn't have time to sniff, so he quickly dodged to the side. Jiang Lai's young lady's temper is well known to him. Lai, are you here? Seeing Jiang Lai chasing Cao Ze, Mrs. Wang quickly asked. Auntie Meijing, don't worry. Today is either Cao Ze's death or Cao Ze's death. After Jiang Lai finished speaking with a suppressed heart, he chased after Cao Ze and ran upstairs. I said, Jiang Lai, are you too ruthless? Cao Ze's silent voice came, making Mrs. Wang smile happily. These two children, hey. Mrs. Wang, who couldn't quite understand, also knew that Jiang Lai was speaking angrily. I think it's okay now anyway. You can just try the clothes that Cao Ze gave her. Who knows? Mrs. Wang opened the packaging bag and took a look. Good guy. The style and color of the skirt worn by Jiang Lai are identical. This boy is really trying to save trouble when buying clothes. Mrs. Wang couldn't help but smile bitterly and lost interest in trying on clothes. After all, hitting a shirt is not scary, and whoever is not young is awkward. Third floor. Jiang Lai, why are you chasing me? Cao Ze, who was forced into the corridor by Jiang Lai, asked in silence. Hee, do you still have the face to ask me? Do you still need me to point out what you did yourself? Jiang Lai pointed to his clothes and asked angrily. Of course Cao Ze understood what she meant. I really forgot. As soon as the explanation was spoken, Jiang Lai's fist hit. Under helplessness, Cao Ze twisted the door handle of the room. Immediately walked in and locked the door, completing it in one go. Cao Ze, open the door for me and come out. I promise, I'll just hit you once. You made me angry, we'll still be good siblings in the future. Jiang Lai shouted outside the door. Hee, I can't believe a woman's words, especially a beautiful woman like you. Cao Ze wouldn't be fooled and leisurely looked into the room. In the room, a very pleasant aroma filled the entire room. On the big bed, several sets of women's clothes are placed on top. Judging from the messy marks, it should be after the hostess has selected the clothes. I hurriedly left the house, but haven't had time to tidy up yet. In this house, only Mrs. Wang lives alone. Cao Ze suddenly felt a bit awkward. Staying here is not a problem, he casually opened the door. You. Jiang Lai, who was still thinking about how to trick Cao Ze into opening the door. Seeing Cao Ze suddenly walking out, he was immediately dumbfounded. My good sister, as promised, you only hit once. Cao Ze looked aggrieved and pitifully said. But Jiang Lai is not foolish, he can tell at a glance that he is pretending. Forget it, everyone in the bureau is open and lenient. Since you have voluntarily admitted your mistake, I feel a bit embarrassed to take action. However, Jiang Lai is still Jiang Lai, she has never played cards according to common sense. Leave a lipstick mark on Cao Ze's face. Jiang Laixiong walked downstairs with a strong and spirited demeanor. Ah! Cao Ze suddenly rolled his eyes. This older sister doesn't seem like a good person. After washing his face, Cao Ze finally arrived downstairs. On the sofa. When Jiang Lai heard that there was a suite under Cao Ze's building, suddenly, interest arose. Aunt Meijing, let's take a look at Cao Ze's house. Jiang Lai took Mrs. Wang's arm and said with a smile. Her mother and Mrs. Wang are good friends. Mrs. Wang was able to marry Cao Ze's father through the matchmaking of Jiang Lai's mother. So, their relationship is extremely close. Cao Ze was also about to go and see the house, so he followed them out the door. On the other side. Talent market. Although Ruan Zhenzhen graduated from a prestigious school and still holds various certificates. However, since she got married, she hasn't gone out to work. So, without any work experience, she was rejected by many companies. One of the female bosses was attracted to Ruan Zhenzhen's beautiful appearance. I wanted her to enter the company's public relations department, but Ruan Zhenzhen ignored her directly. Although she needs money very much now, she disdains to rely on it to make money. Just at this moment, Wu Mama, who came to recruit a nanny, saw Ruan Zhen's real predicament. Girl, can you do housework and cook? Seeing that Ruan Zhen was really about to leave, Wu Ma quickly stopped her. I will. Although I'm not sure why the other party asked so. However, Wu Mama appeared to have a kind face, so Ruan Zhenzhen politely spoke up. After some communication between the two, Wu Mama learned that Ruan Zhen is really a housewife and is currently single. I suddenly felt that her family background was simple, but she was a good choice for a nanny. After hearing Wu Ma's introduction, Ruan Zhenzhen also felt it was quite good. Because she is already reluctant to interact with outsiders. Coincidentally, this job as a nanny only requires taking care of one person. This really makes Ruan Zhen feel that it is quite suitable for him. So without any hesitation, I followed Wu Mama towards the Junhua mansion. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 9. Cao Ze's plan, cold and brilliant Ruan Zhenzhen. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Junhua Mansion, 1301. Cao Ze, who had already obtained the key from the system, opened the door. The scene that catches the eye. Only luxury, grandeur, and luxury can be used as substitutes. In the living room, you can enjoy 270 invincible landscape views. Dual view both inside and outside, with a wide north-south orientation and ample natural lighting. Panoramic giant screen balcony, Quanming double bathroom, Quanming kitchen, super large master bedroom suite Ozawa, these home appliances are quite durable. Did you choose it yourself? Mrs. Wang doesn't feel much about the layout of this suite. After all, she lives on the top floor of the 21st floor. But the top luxury goods in front of her, Mrs. Wang felt very shocking. I entrusted a friend of a designer to choose. Who knows how the system operates? Cao Ze could only speak vaguely. But what he doesn't know is all the designs in this house, including the purchase of home appliances. All of them were personally organized by Jiang Nansun from the School of Architecture. As for the arrangement of the system, it's normal for Cao Ze not to know. Cao Ze, your friend is quite tasteful. Jiang Lai, standing next to Cao Ze, smiled and joked. The three of them then looked carefully. What impressed Mrs. Wang and Jiang Lai deeply was the master bedroom. That luxurious 3-meter by 3-meter bed, and a large bathtub that can accommodate 2 people. Give them reason to doubt. The designer friend that Cao Ze mentioned should be a woman. And it seems to be very understandable. Jiang Lai, are there any office buildings nearby for rent? After strolling around, the three of them sat down on the sofa. I'm not quite sure about the situation in this area. Aunt Meijing should know, I heard you opened a yoga studio nearby. After thinking for a moment, Jiang Lai remembered this matter. Ozawa, why are you asking this? Wang Taiji asked curiously. I want to start a business. Cao Zigang said these words, and Mrs. Wang and Jiang Lai were both dumbfounded. Cao Ze, you're only 18 today, starting a business. Jiang Lai asked in extreme shock. You should know that at this age, she is still deceiving Cao Ze to marry her when he grows up. Ozawa, what are you planning to do? Unlike Jiang Lai's questioning, Mrs. Wang only asked curiously. She can't control Cao Ze anyway, why not listen to the other person's thoughts first? I plan to start a venture capital company because it doesn't take much time. Cao Ze didn't hide it from them either, he smiled and said. Anyway, it's the system reward funds, and Cao Ze went with the nature of playing tickets. Venture capital. Upon hearing his words, Mrs. Wang exchanged a glance with Jiang Lai. Cao Ze, this industry requires a lot of capital. Or rather, without a certain amount of capital, it's impossible to play this game. Jiang Lai, who has some understanding of the financial industry, spoke up and reminded. I only have 1 billion now, but it doesn't matter anymore. Just consider it as a way to earn some experience in the future. Cao Ze smiled nonchalantly and said. Ah. His words made Mrs. Wang and Jiang Lai momentarily dumbfounded. 1 billion to play with. However, none of them raised any objections. Anyway, Cao Ze's family has money and it's over. Ozawa, let me help you ask and see. After Mrs. Wang finished speaking, she took out her phone and contacted her. Hey, Xiaomeng, I heard you mention it last time. Suddenly hearing Xiaomeng's name, Cao Ze remembered it. Mrs. Wang runs a yoga studio, which is also for entertainment purposes. After all, the wealthy lady. There is a high-end venue that can be used to showcase oneself. As for Mrs. Wang's little dream. That is Qiao Weidong's girlfriend in the TV series, Little Joy. A slim and slender yoga instructor. Due to the familiar relationship with Qiao Yingzi, Cao Ze also met her once. Ozawa, I've asked, it's in the mall downstairs nearby. There is an office building for rent upstairs at the flagship store of Mejia. Xiaomeng said, she made an appointment with the other party and will go talk together then. Mrs. Wang, who hung up the phone, smiled and said to Cao Ze. Aunt Meijing, thank you. Seeing her so devoted to her own affairs, Cao Ze gratefully said. I've seen it out again, haven't I? Mrs. Wang gave a charming smile and spoke. At this moment, The sound of a doorbell came from the door. This actually made the three people present a little curious. After all, Cao Ze himself has only been here for the first time. It should be Wu Mama coming. Cao Ze reacted quickly enough and smiled as he stood up and opened the door. Ozawa, ma'am, I have found a nanny candidate. Wu Mama didn't enter the door, she just said inside from the doorway. Well, then you should go back first. Mrs. Wang spoke faintly. After a moment, Ruan Zhenzhen, who had changed into slippers, followed Cao Ze into the living room. Seeing this super luxurious house, she was also extremely shocked in her heart. However, Ruan Zhenzhen has always been aloof and has not shown it on her face. When Cao Ze first saw her, he was a bit dumbfounded. Of course, he knows about Ruan Zhenzhen's character design. A cold and charming woman who just lost her husband. P.S. Attached image below. Cao Ze's household layout map. The real visual impact is 100 times more explosive than the floor plan Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 10. Jiang Lai pursues victory, and Cao Ze is defeated by Bao. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Please take a seat, how do you address me? Ruan Zhenzhen walked into the living room and sat down on the sofa. Mrs. Wang, sitting opposite her, immediately smiled and asked. She is very concerned about choosing a nanny for Cao Ze. Or it should be said. She wants to learn about Cao Ze's preferences through a close nanny. To establish a good relationship with Cao Ze and prepare accordingly. Hello, my name is Ruan Zhenzhen, I am 30 years old this year. Ruan Zhen is really straightforward, giving her general situation. I told Mrs. Wang one by one. When I heard that she was widowed, childless, and alone. While sympathizing, Mrs. Wang was also very satisfied in her heart. After all, families like them prefer people with simple families. After a polite interview, Mrs. Wang was very satisfied with Ruan Zhenzhen. Upon hearing that Cao Ze had no objections, he immediately discussed salary with the other party. Jiang Lai pulled Cao Ze aside and whispered in his ear. Cao Ze, let me tell you, since this nanny has agreed to stay at home. So, you have to protect yourself, you know you're so handsome. Upon hearing Jiang Lai's words, Cao Ze immediately rolled his eyes. I'm talking about Jiang Lai, do you think everyone is like you, enjoying gnawing on tender grass? Cao Ze asked in silence. What's like me? How am I doing? I've explained it to you before, it's just a side effect of alcohol. Although there is some awkwardness in my heart. But someone like Jiang Lai who loves face won't show it. Hee, what about in the morning? Cao Ze snorted coldly and asked in a questioning tone. I was just helping you test the water temperature and accidentally fell into the bathtub. Jiang Lai vividly portrayed the 4 words of strong words and reasoning. Besides, don't just remember these things. Just talk about it, when you were young. If you're being bullied by Qiao Jingjing and Lu Fangning, why don't I take action? Your first kiss was gone at that time, you know. Am I not good enough for you? Thinking of interesting childhood stories, Jiang Lai asked with a heart-wrenching question. It's fortunate that I even protected Cao Ze when I was a child. Who would have thought he would say that now? Jiang Lai felt his heart ache. Yes, you helped me drive away Qiao Jingjing and Lu Fangning. That's not because you want to eat alone. You are so good that you can even take action on your own little brother. After Cao Ze finished speaking with grievances, he fled as if. There is a behavior called becoming angry from embarrassment. He knew very well that Jiang Lai really knew. Cao Ze. Sure enough. Upon hearing his words, Jiang Lai was so angry that his teeth were itching, and he clenched his fists and growled softly. If it weren't for outsiders present, Jiang Lai would have gone crazy long ago. Mrs. Wang on the sofa is very satisfied with Ruan Zhenzhen. That's it then. When will you be able to start work at the earliest? Mrs. Wang, who had already negotiated the price, smiled and asked. I can do it now. Ruan Zhenzhen was delighted to find a job so quickly. The salary of a nanny in the Magic City is generally over 10,000 yuan. And the wealthy lady in front of me seems to have no concept of money. I directly offered her a price of 20,000 yuan, along with a bonus. This finally made Ruan Zhenzhen realize what it means to be a foolish person with more money. Okay, I'll give you some credibility and transfer some money to you. You go out and buy some daily necessities, fruits and vegetables. Mrs. Wang began to make arrangements. After the two added their authority, Ruan Zhenzhen looked at the 10,000 yuan on her phone and couldn't help but feel a bit dumbfounded. A little too wide, indeed a little more than an ordinary family. Then you go first. By the way, if there are too many things, you can ask the property management downstairs for help. Before Ruan Zhenzhen left, Mrs. Wang didn't forget to remind her. It is evident that this woman has a kind heart. Okay, ma'am. Ruan Zhenzhen nodded and walked towards the door. Ozawa, Lai, let's talk first. Today, we have a gathering in our wife's circle. I need to go upstairs to prepare and then go out. Mrs. Wang came to Cao Ze and Jiang Lai's side and said with a smile. Upon hearing her words, Cao Ze remembered. Every Friday afternoon at 2 p.m., the wife circle will gather on time. Apart from some business hype, what's actually more is showing off. Show off your husband's kindness to yourself, show off your children's good grades, show off your solid family background, not all the same. After Mrs. Wang leaves. After enduring for a long time, Jiang Lai finally revealed the fox's tail. Cao Ze, come on, let's settle the old and new accounts together. Jiang Lai rolled up the sleeves of his stepmother's skirt and then rubbed his fists. Jiang Lai, let's forget it. Good men don't fight against women. As a polite and courteous young man, how could Cao Ze fight with her? But I can't stand Jiang Lai, this woman is too unreasonable. He pounced directly at himself. Cao Ze had no choice but to rebel. But the two of them were playing along and accidentally came to the master bedroom. Cao Ze accidentally stepped on Jiang Lai's skirt. Suddenly, with a hiss, the shoulder strap of my stepmother's skirt slipped off, P.S. Attached image below. Cao Ze's home. Reference picture of the living room. I don't know if the author is begging for data. Which 180 tycoon who earns billions of points every day can reward billions of points of data? Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.